Hello everyone, hello and good evening. Hope you're all having a lovely weekend. Gosh, the weather is strange, isn't it? Because at the moment it's very much all grey and miserable, and in the mornings and come the afternoon, late evening, and it's lovely and sunny, so not as warm as I'd like it to be. Okay, so good evening. I'm just going to wait a couple of moments just for people to catch up that I'm here live on Facebook. We're now in September, so I've only got a few more Facebook Lives that I've scheduled in for the end of the year. So there's obviously another one this month, because we're in September now, 2 in October, 2 in November and 2 in December, so that only leaves roughly around about, this is going to be kind of coming halfway through, so we've got 7 left to do, so in total including today. So isn't that exciting? I hope that you've enjoyed coming in watching these Facebook Lives. I hope that you have learnt something. Hope I've covered what you've wanted me to cover. There's still time. There are a couple of slots where I'm not too sure what I'm going to be talking about. So if you are wanting to come along and just have a chat, that's absolutely excellent. In fact, I'm planning that for Christmas, coming along and just having a chat, seeing where you all are. I mean, gosh, you know, completely different places at the moment, so yes, let's have a look. Right, I'm just going to have a look to see if anyone's joining. Right, I'm going to continue just to let you know what my website is. It's emilyjbaker.com. On there you will be able to have a look to see what I offer. I just don't offer mediumship and psychic art. I also offer complementary therapies as well. And the other thing I do offer, for any of you are therapists and you're going through self-healing, as a colleague of mine and a friend of mine told me today, you know, I do tailored blended oils, specifically to kind of go into that deeper modality of doing the self-healing. And by the way, all of my aromatherapy, all of those treatments, it's you who are making the blend, it's not me. I will only suggest some oils, and then after that it's up to you whether or not you like those smells. But I do not use pre-blended oils for my massages at all. Okay, just to let you know, she wanted me to stress that and I'm stressing it, so there we go, because she wasn't aware of that. Well, this evening anyway, I'm going to be talking about terminology and what does it mean, where is it, what do I mean by terminology when it comes to mediumship. And this stemmed from remembering the first time I went to a spiritualist church, and at the church I came across a whole set of words and I was going, what are they talking about? And over the years I've also found people kind of looking a bit puzzled when I say certain words. Why don't I say this instead of that, and etc, etc. So I thought I'd just kind of go through them. Now, with spiritualism, with mediumship, you have to remember that we don't necessarily, I don't. The spirit for me is just that it's transformed into a different shape and different energy. It's one that is translucent, one that can go through walls, one that defines the boundaries that we physically have. Do I believe that the person has died? Yes and no, because the physical entity, we cannot keep this body going forever. We're almost on the verge of being able to do it, but there's certain parts of our body which cannot be rejuvenated or replaced. Okay, there's only been a case of at least 1 or 2 people who have had a head transplant, and they've only survived literally minutes, not long enough to actually sustain a living life. Okay, we have people in suspension, cryogenic suspension. So this whole terminology about death and dead is very much one where in spiritualist terms, in mediumship terms, we will use passing over. They passed over, or they've gone on to the other side. Basically, they're dead. All right. So that's that terminology there, and that was one of the first ones I remember of going to a church and coming across. What do they mean by passing over? What you mean? They've run over them, they've passed them by. What does passing over mean? And basically it means that they have gone from this physical entity into another energetical format. Energetical. Oh, I hope that's a word. I love that. I have no idea if it is a word or not. If it isn't a word, can we make it a word? Because I love it. Energetical. Lovely. Friends of mine who will probably hear this will probably be rolling their eyes and going, oh God, she's off it again. Okay. Another terminology that I was a bit confused by was auras. Actually, what I've got on my website is a glossary of terms used. All right, so I'm referring to that as well. So this is actually an energy field, an aura. You have an aura about you, and actually people do use this outside of mediumship. I'd like to let you know that you have an aura, or that you're glowing. That's an aura. Or that, oh, we can see that you're radiant as a beautiful bride. You've heard that one as well, probably. So that is about the aura. Now, the aura, we have different fields within that aura. So, okay, so you have one that's very close around you, and then you have one that's slightly further away, and one that's slightly further away, and one slightly further away. All of these vibrate. Yes, they vibrate at different rates, okay, and therefore can pick up different colours and different moods. So people can see colours around people. That is not strange. I'm just going to move my camera slightly because I've just noticed it looks like you're looking up towards the ceiling, and I'm kind of going, oh, that's a bit weird. So good evening, whoever you are. Please put a comment into the comment box if you've got any questions about terminology, and it'd be lovely to hear from you. So auras, people can see those auras. Now, when it comes to me, I don't necessarily see colours. In fact, I don't. However, and I was explaining this to somebody just the other night, what I tend to see is auras around trees, plants, weirdly enough, moving cars. If you kind of, when you look at a car, and I see it at traffic lights, not all of the time, just some of the time, I will actually get to see kind of that wind tunnel effect that they used to have in adverts, where you could actually see that jet stream flying over a car. I love looking at that. It's kind of like, oh, aerodynamic, lovely. Not so aerodynamic. Why are they doing that? That's a bit silly. So yes, people placing bicycles vertically like that on a car doesn't work. Just like to point that one out. You're probably using a lot more fuel because they're doing that, which therefore is not aerodynamically. Better to have it flat because your car has been designed to be aerodynamic. Just like to point that one out. Okay, so that's auras. Now, auras you can find around trees, plants, anything else. Zena. Hi, Zena. How are you? Are you talking about colour aura? Well, I'm just talking about auras generally, Zena, actually. I'm talking about terminology, actually. So colour aura, is that different from auras? You can answer that better than I can, because the auras for me, I sense them, but I don't necessarily always get to see them on people. So if that's what you get to see, Zena, please do comment. Okay, I'm happy to use, if there's any terminology that you're not too sure about, please let me know. Again, I'm only going by my experience, so I don't know everything. Okay, right, so we know churches, church, there's the steeple, there's all the open people, right? Okay, development. Okay, so when you go to a spiritualist centre, what do I say? I'm not doing readings, Zena. I'm just talking about terminology, just to let you know. This is about it's not about giving you readings or anything like that. Okay, just to let you know. But very, very quickly, I have a feeling that you already know a lot of stuff, but you are not secure about knowing some of the stuff. Okay, right. So development. So development is very much where I would say that many mediums do development. Hopefully, either in okay, here we go. Circle. All right. So we have an open circle, a closed circle, a development circle. These are basically a group of people who meet up, and that normally, I would say 99% of the time, that they would sit in meditation, pick up what they're getting, and then give each other messages, basically. Development circles are slightly different. There will be a purpose to that. So they may have not actually go into a meditation, but they will actually just start talking about the topic and practicing the topic, maybe. So if it's encaustic wax, they may get all the encaustic waxes out and play, and then give each other readings from that. Okay, so development is not just about learning about the different spheres of mediumship and those kind of things, but also about developing yourself. And it's really important that people understand this, because over the years I've realized that a lot of people would kind of go, oh yeah, but it's development, isn't it? It's a development circle. That's where you go to develop to be a medium, and that's what I ended up doing as well. However, I learned stuff about myself, so you will learn about yourself. There were also people on some development circles that I was in that actually were not suited to being a medium, but they were desperate to be able to do mediumship, and that yet they weren't suited for it. So they would try for years and years and years and years. In fact, I came across one lady who was absolutely furious with me because, well, actually I would call it jealousy, that I was actually going to be going onto the platform, and I'd only been going to a church for a really short time, under 2 years or something like that, some really, really short time, that I'd been asked to go onto the platform by myself, and to do a divine service. Now, a divine service, when you go to a church or a centre, is very different to other churches. Oh, okay. I'll come back to you in a moment, Sina. But a divine service is where there has to be, for it to be a church, you have to have a prayer, you do have to have philosophy, and they do have to have hymns, and they do also have to, there is a donation collection as well. Now that's in this country, in the UK, that is because those are the rules to define what a religion is. Just to let you know that. Okay, so I don't think I have any physical abilities, but I do strongly pick up on people's energy. Okay. Alright, you've answered your own questions. I get vibes from people, whether good or bad vibes. Yes. Is this called a sixth sense? Right, okay, so it is. A sixth sense is kind of like a knowing, if you like. I always call it a knowing. It is that kind of like, they give us bad vibes. For me, it's that latent thing that is the first thing. It's if you say, oh, I don't think I have any psychic abilities, I bet you know when your friend is going to call, or that you're thinking of your friend and suddenly they call you, not that you've reached out to them in any way, by the way, that you suddenly go, oh my god, I've been thinking about you, my ears have been burning, or whatever. So yes, that's along the lines of the sixth sense. So yes, psychic abilities, it depends what you mean by psychic abilities. Okay, so is it fortune telling? So here we go. Psychic is about the here, now, and the future. Okay, mediumship is about the here and now and the past. All right, so it's about the past firstly, catching up with the here and now to sort out the here and now. Psychic and it works on different levels as well. So the mediumship is contacting those who have passed away. The psych is working on that someone's energy, the other person's energy, and you picking up on it. So to say that you don't have any psychic abilities but you strongly pick up on people's energies, I would say actually then therefore what you've just gone and said there, yes, you do have psychic abilities, although it may be not as strong as you perhaps would like it to be, but it is there. Okay, hopefully that has answered your question in a really nice waffling way. Okay, guides. Here's another terminology. Now, oh yeah, what's that? Dip, dip, dip. Having been in the Girl Guides and the Brownies and all of those things, guides. Right, so these are people who you don't necessarily know. They can be those who have passed on centuries before you, who have come back to give you or to help you during a certain point in your time. Okay, so yeah, you're welcome, Zena. So it can be, for instance, I can come back, say in 150 years, to somebody who I don't know but is struggling, and say, look, this is what you need to do, perhaps with mediumship or whatever. I can be their guide. For me personally, guides change. They do not stay with me forever. They may stay with me for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, but that does not mean that they're going to stay forever with me as that permanent guide. Now, that is not true for all mediums, because there are some mediums who will, Helen Duncan, for instance, she had a guide who stayed with her all the way through her working career, as did Derek Okora. He had a guide that stayed with him and helped him through. For me, I've had a Chinese bloke. I've so far had a school mistress at circa 1800s. I've also had a Native American Indian. By the way, I don't know this. This is what people have told me. I've also had a nun circa 1930s, 1940s. And by the way, the nun is a family member. So I've had a number of different energies come towards me to help me through certain points, key points in my time, and I get influenced by them to help me progress to my next stage. Do I like knowing my guides? No, I don't. Do I work with them? Do I like knowing who they are? I appreciate who they are and what they have to offer me. That does not necessarily mean that I will always be able to know who exactly that they are, but I know that they are influencing me. Okay. Just bear with me. Okay. Someone's not being able to click into the feed, so sorry about that. Hopefully you'll be able to watch it on the watch back. Okay, so that was about guides. So for me, guides do come and go. I appreciate when people tell me I've got a guide, and I will say thank you. I know that my family are always around me. Certain members of my family are always around me, and I see them more as my helpers, my inspirers, but also my gatekeepers. Gatekeepers, new terminology. See, there's so many words. So gatekeepers, right. I need to step back a little bit, and I need to talk about something else first of all, before I talk about having a gatekeeper. Right, so we have protection. Notice the pause with protection. So with protection, it is very much about protecting your aura, your energy field. Okay, so if you see your aura as being your energy field, let's start there. Okay, when you push it out, which is what you do with mediumship and with psychic abilities, that's what you do, you're pushing out that energy field further. There comes a point when you are picking up everything. All right, well, you're going to need to protect yourself and your own energy, because you don't want everything coming towards you, because some of that stuff is really quite pants, to put it bluntly. And that's not even putting it bluntly, but that's to say that it is actually can be quite horrible stuff that you don't want to keep. So how do you deal with it? So you have this protection around you. Now often we do know when we have our own protection field around us, because we know when someone's stepping a little bit too close to us and we kind of go, need to back away, mate, just need to let me have my space. And especially when our field is actually shorter at the back than it is at the front, because we can see who's coming, but the field at the back is kind of, you can kind of come up to somebody quite close sometimes. So it is about protecting all of yourself. Now we do this, here we go, psychic ability to actually, so you're using your mind, because your mind, okay, this is the way I'm currently looking at it, and it may change in future. So I see our minds as being this ball of energy. Okay, so when you look at a mind and you see it on sliced up in a lab and stuff, it's not pretty colours, it's grey, squidgy, lumpish stuff with rivets and wrinkles and divots and all the rest of it. Well, it's quite heavy, and it's just this kind of jellified mass, if you like. It doesn't seem to have a structure, it doesn't seem to have holes in it, it doesn't seem to have like our lungs or the liver or the kidneys or anything like that. It just seems to be completely separate. But that's where all our neurons are, and all of our neurons are sparking off energy, because that's what's going through our arms to manipulate our fingers, our toes, our breathing, our blinking, our talking, my speech, my lips, all the rest of it, making me feel things, sense things, see things, hear things, taste things. All of that is being processed by this machine up here with this grey mass thing, but it's also giving out energy. All right, so that's why I'm saying the psychic is very much up here. Okay, so when it comes to oh gosh, I've forgotten what I was going to say. So yes, so that's where I see it. And when it comes to protection, that is where, you know, that's where it's emanating from, of you using the imagination of a ball, a cloak, a suit of armor, shiny so it can reflect things back, a ball, a bubble, if you like, a pink bubble, whatever's comfortable for you, that it can be reflected back. Me, I'm nosy, so I'd like to see what's coming towards me. Didn't always start off with that. Okay, so I tried the suit of armor, found that I couldn't work with that because it was a bit too clunky. I tried the pink fluffy ball kind of thing, bubble thing, that didn't really work for me because I just felt like I wasn't grounded. So it's whatever works for you. Okay, so now when it comes to gatekeepers, gatekeepers are the next stage. So when you're working on a mediumship, you have all of this spirit coming towards you. So these are spirits who are basically the energy of the dead person. Right? So for instance, my mother died 2008. She's not a ghost, she's now a spirit. So especially when she comes towards me, she's definitely a spirit. Now there may be times when I kind of go, actually I can't deal with you today, Mum, I'm busy, come back another day. So I need to have that protection up, or I need to have my gatekeepers. So I set up a space, and in this space I had a picket fence, for instance, and it actually started off even shallower than that. It started off with me sitting at a table no bigger than I suppose half a metre by half a metre, and it was green like a poker table. Over it was a light, so I couldn't really see much around, it was all dark, and the spirit would sit in the chair opposite me. I would have a conversation with them, they would tell me information. As I developed and went through a development circle, I expanded this, but I needed to make sure that the people coming to me were going to be safe and okay for me to work with. That is where the gatekeepers come in. The gatekeepers are the ones who make sure that in this little picket, so I set up a little picket fence around my space. I then put in flowers and grass, and it was lovely light, obviously not at the overhead near fluorescent tube light, but a lot nicer light, so I could see the queue now. But I needed to have a gate, and at that gate I have my grandparents and my dad. So they are my protectors, and if you want to call them my guides, absolutely, you can do, but for me, they are my gatekeepers. They make sure that A, people are in order, B, that those who are coming towards me are not going to hurt me. So they're going to look after me. I am glad that I know them because they're my family members, and I don't think that they would be out to hurt me. Okay, that's really important. You don't want someone to self-sabotage yourself. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want somebody at the gate allowing people to come through who are going to hurt you. It's not going to work. They're probably also sorting out those who can actually work with me on an energetic level. If I don't have experience of being in a burning building, for instance, it's not exactly something that they may bring through for me. They may give me illnesses. People have passed with illnesses, passed, dead, died with illnesses. Those who have had smoking relations or drinking connections or whatever that may be, or something that is in my mind that I can connect to relate to that spirit, so I can pass on the message. This is actually quite important when it comes to mediums giving you a reading and that you're hoping that your mum will come through, and you walk away going, oh no, my mum didn't come through, gosh, how frustrating, etc., disappointing, annoying, I really wanted to speak to her. Instead I've got gran, I got aunt, I got uncle, I got everybody else. That's maybe for a number of reasons. Number one, the reason why you may not get the person that you wanting to come through is that they're not ready to come through. It's too emotionally based. Number two, if it is emotionally based on your side, you're not going to listen to the message you need to hear. It's not about wanting to hear, it's about needing to hear. You have to understand that the medium and those on the spirit side are expanding a lot of energy. Okay, to be able to communicate to you. Please be courteous. Then there is also you come to the point which are that sorry, I've just lost my train of thought. So you have yes, reasons why people don't come through. So yes, you have the emotional thing. So you are emotional, not just them, but that you are emotional and can't put through. Also, they may not actually be ready. So that's going partly back to point one. They may not be ready to give a message because there's certain things that they need to do on that side. I mean, if you think about it, you're suddenly this flesh bone three-dimensional thing that has to open a door to walk through a space in a wall, or has to open a window to be looking out, or draw a curtain and things like that. Suddenly you can actually walk through the door without holding on to it, because you can't hold on to it. You're an energy format. You can be from one place to another. Time doesn't matter, etc. So there is a lot of configuration, a lot of kind of getting used to. Most importantly, if there isn't a connection that whoever it is that you're wanting to speak to and the medium, why bother? Because they're not going to understand what you're saying. They're not going to understand what you're trying to convey. They're not going to be able to have that connection. Okay, so it is also having the right medium at the right time. So yes, it can be very frustrating. Some people will get messages from who they're wanting. Sometimes it'll be somebody else who brings through a message, and then the person that is wanting to come through will come through later on. Okay, right, okay, that's what I think. I think it's good. The good spirits, such as family, keep away the bad spirits. Lovely, Zena, thank you. So what are my thoughts on orbs? Right, orbs, here's another terminology. Orbs, now a lot of people take photographs and they can see these white round circular things all over the place on a picture, and I've seen loads of photographs with that going on. Just need to continue with that thought just for one moment, because there's another thought coming in. So orbs can be dust particles. Now when it comes to photographs, and especially when they're taken at night with a flash camera and you're moving around outside, it can be bugs and things like that. So With photographs of orbs, I'm sometimes quite skeptical. I have to actually look at the orb itself. Okay, I have seen orbs. I have seen orbs floating around. I have seen the really sharpest, brightest light possible in a hedge where it possibly cannot be, literally flash on, flash off again. And I saw that more than once as well while I was working in a building. So if it was the sun, it would have continually been shining, and there wasn't a breeze, and it was literally in the middle of a bramble. So those are a couple of orbs that I have physically seen. I have also seen photographic orbs, as I was saying. The one that I would say was the most poignant one for me was at Stansted Hall. And if you've seen some of my other Facebook lives, you would have known that Stansted Hall was donated to the psychic research development side from Arthur Conan Doyle. So Arthur Conan Doyle lived there. He donated the building that he lived in to psychic research. And it's a beautiful old building. They now run courses throughout the year there, and anyone from around the world can go. It's residential, so you can actually stay on site as well. They have, or did have, a large, beautiful tulip tree. It's slap bang in the middle of the garden at the back. And this tulip tree was it's quite famous tulip tree. If you go and say, oh, I've been to Santa, have you been to the tulip tree? People will say yes. There is also a photograph of the tulip tree as you're walking down a corridor towards the restaurant area. There is, and the corridor is quite narrow, but there's this huge picture of the tulip tree with this orb, and it's been blown up so you can see the orb. And I kept on walking past it and glanced at it, and I could see something out of the corner of my eye. So this is where it comes to why I need to see the orb. So for me, I was looking at the orb, and someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, no, really look at the orb. So I looked at it and I went, oh, that's not what I thought it was. So in this orb, I could see a gentleman wearing circa 1800 clothing. Then I could see two ladies, again 1800 clothing, perhaps a little bit earlier than that. And I could then see a piano, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. What was even more interesting was that there was a collection behind all of these. Now, they were very, very small people, so I could only guess that I was looking at the Fox sisters. I was looking at kind of like the founding fathers of the UK versions, or, well, actually, just the founding ancestors of spiritualism per se, within this orb. And I thought, gosh, that's quite interesting. It didn't stop there. As I looked at it, they then started moving. And what was even more interesting was that the two ladies at the front mingled around, they turned around and started speaking to the others, and they came forward, the piano was brought forward, and suddenly they were all around the piano singing. And I kept on pointing to everybody who was walking by, have you looked at this one? Yeah. No, seriously, have you looked at it? They're moving. And I'm going, yeah, no, you're seeing things. I said, I'm not seeing things. Have a look. You need to really look at it. So for me, I feel as though, yes, you can capture spirit in orbs. And yes, they can be in orbs. I'm not denying that fact. If you show me a photograph, please, let me, I would need to have it blown up and then to see what I can see within it. Sometimes there's nothing in it and I don't see anything. Sometimes there are things in there. I know that I've taken photographs with what I think is an orb. I've blown it up and I'm kind of gone, yeah, there's nothing there. Okay, it's a dust particle. Moving on. So yes, not all orbs are spirit. Some are other things. So yes, they can be misleading as well. Right, how's that going? Is that all right, Zena? Yeah, you're finding all of this fascinating? Lovely. Okay, is there any other questions you've got for me? Lovely, Zena, thank you. Well, hopefully you can catch up on some of the others. If you are wanting, just to let you know, to catch up on any of the other Facebook lives, I have got them on my YouTube site, which is Emily Baker Psychic Medium. I didn't choose that title and I may be changing it, but at the moment that's what it is. But you'll be able to see my readings with the perceptionary cards for each month, as well as Facebook Live, so you can catch up. Okay, so the 5 Clairs. Do we know about the 5 Clairs? Actually, there's now a 6th Clair that's recently being used as well. So we have a thing called clairvoyance. All right, so this is seeing mental pictures. All right, colors, shapes and symbols, all of those kind of things. We also have clairaudience. All right, just think of audience, you hear. All right, so you can hear words, music, different sounds, songs, all the rest of it as well. Clairsentient, which is having a strong sense of knowing, Zena. Okay, strong sense of knowing. This is the usual way of receiving. I just know this and this about you. In fact, that's how I started off. I had no idea at the beginning, absolutely none, that I was a medium. It took a while to sink in. Okay, so then you have clairgustance. So clairgustance is about your stomach, so it's about food. All right, so it's about tasting things as well. All right, so you can physically taste things. Clairessence is being aware of smells. All right, that are not physically present. So let me just I feel like I've not covered everything. Okay, clairaudience. Okay, so there is another one, and I haven't got it down here, but it's just I saw it the other day actually, and I know that I have to put it on here. So there is another clair where you can feel the ability, so you can feel if somebody's injured, where they're injured. So sometimes if I know somebody has had a terrific head injury, I can just tap my head and I kind of go, oh, that's nice and soft and squidgy, isn't it? Oh, lovely. So that I know where the head injury is. Or if I know that if they've passed with a stroke, for instance, one side of my mouth will start to droop, I will get a sensation on one side of my body. If someone's passed who've taken a lot of medication, then I will feel quite poorly as well. So I will get that sense of them actually being quite poorly. Yeah, so getting to smell odd smells that you can associate with the family is very common. It's not so common when you're kind of in a weird place and you're smelling things and nobody else can smell them. But yes, the normal ones is perfume and cigarettes, tobacco, because they're very strong. Cigars is another one that I tend to get. I have had blood, petrol, diesel. What else have I smelt in the past? That's about it. So yes, do bear in mind, if you are clairsentient, you can actually, especially if that's the way that you communicate, then yes, you can smell not so nice smells as well. You can smell where someone weren't so hygienic with their ablutions, shall we say. Bear in mind, though, can I just say a caveat for myself? Yes, there is a normal way that more common than not that a lot of people will come through of either showing me photographs of themselves, or that they will show me an image of themselves, or every spirit that comes to me will come to me in a different format, because they're individuals. Because they were here and they've become a spirit does not mean that all spirits are the same. They still keep their individuality. And that's really quite important. I mean, I know I would like to keep my individuality of being really annoying to some people, like my brother. So that's, you have to bear that in mind. So for some people, smell is very important to them. Or them smoking a cigar will be really important as that memory trigger of, oh gosh, yes, I know exactly who it is who smokes the cigar, and it's a Pamela cigar, or it could be a cheroot, or it could be a more cigarette, and it can be as precise as that as well, or that they had Benson and Hedges cigarettes, or they loved with a big M, Marrowbone cigarettes. So yeah, I don't smoke. I'm only going by what my parents used to smoke. Right, so Zena, so for you could, for example, identify my nan's perfume, but you obviously would have to catch the smell. Yes, but I would not necessarily know that it's your nan. I can describe the smell to you. I can describe, if they give me the information of the name of a certain perfume. So, for instance, if it's a perfume that I know, like Poison, or Obsession, I think it was Obsession, really strong smelling perfumes that people used to wear, that they don't seem to wear so much. But yes, if they have this really strong scent, normally it tends to be kind of on the violet rose perfume side. But if they have a really strong scent that they wore, but they also say what it is, then yes, I wouldn't know that it's necessarily an ad just by that smell. I can just say that there's a lady until they give me more information. And that's the other thing about having a conversation. I know I haven't got it on my terminology, but I do have a conversation with spirit, because how else am I going to get the information to you, the reader, if I don't have the conversation of like, oh, who are you? Are you a relation? How old are you? Are you in the parent bracket? Are you in the grandparent bracket? Are you taller than me, shorter than me, wider than me, taller? Oh, I can see by the clothes that you're wearing that, are you of this age and are you of that generation? So it's constantly asking questions at the same time they're giving me information to give to you. That's part of where the development bit comes in, of learning to have almost like a three-way conversation all at the same time. Okay, you have just the name of your mum's perfume. Oh, okay, was that Obsession, was it, or was it Poison? I think those are the two that I mentioned there. So there you go. No, thank you very much, Tina. Thank you. So yeah, so all of those. Are there the other things that I've put on here are things like platform, that you would have perhaps heard mediums talk about. Oh yes, I've been on the platform, and you're kind of going, what platform is that? Is that the one off the sinking ship? Sometimes it feels like that. No, a platform is basically when you go into a church or a centre, they will have an area for you, like at the top, like an altar, if you like, and that is called the platform. That is literally the stage, if you like, of where the medium is going to be demonstrating and talking. Oh, both of them, fabulous, Sina. So that's the platform, and for me, it was always regarded, oh gosh, that's a great pinnacle to reach, to be working on the platforms of churches and centres. And for me, that's where I learnt a lot of the information, and I grew and I developed through churches, and I'm still constantly learning as well. So yes, there's always that. So I have respect for churches, I really do. They are a great font of knowledge. They get to see a lot of people. They get to know lots of ways mediums work, as well as being able to help as well. So they are not to be dismissed. And I know a lot of people will go, oh no, I don't go to church. Well, okay, a spiritualist church is non-denominational, for instance, so they will not, if you are Catholic or Muslim, it doesn't matter, or Jewish or Hindu or whatever, you come in as yourself. You are not defined by your spirituality. You are defined as being you. Okay, you are spirit. at the end of the day, just in a different format. So if you are having troubles, if you are wanting more information, if you are wanting to develop, please find your local spiritualist church, because really honestly, that's a great support network there to be had, and they will help you. There will always be somebody there who can help you to find out more information, to be able to say, okay, yes, we've got this class on and this class on. Why is it that you're wanting to do this? What is your aim? My aim was that I hoped that I wasn't going to lally. Literally, seriously, things were coming at me left, right and centre, and I couldn't make head or tail of them. So I needed that support, and they were great. They did support me, and they helped me to understand that I didn't need the men in white coats like my mum had threatened. I did say back to her, by the way, just to let you know, that's fine, because I didn't need to do cooking, cleaning, washing, laundry, any household duties. That was fine by me. And also I could sing all day and not get told off for it. And I was fed. Who could want anything more? I said, perfect, send me away. Be like a retreat. So yeah, that didn't go down well in the middle of an argument. So it was very much... but I was concerned for my mental health, and they were able to help me, as well as some very good friends of mine who are still very good friends of mine, who did help me through the process. And they basically said, no, you're not going mad, you're not doolally, you're perfectly normal. I'll take you to a place and it will all click into place for you. So yes, it's having that support network as well. Oh, Zena, no, it's fine. It's absolutely fine, because I use it as an example, because the other thing that you will find if you are going through your own development, and I'm not just talking about spiritual development, if you are going through any type of development, you will find that friends of yours may drift away. Friends of yours that have been friends for years, perhaps months, whatever, however long, they suddenly drift away, and you kind of come to this point of this handful of friends that stay with you. Not even that, but a whole bunch of new people will come in who are much more on your wavelength. Now, those friends that you did have were on your wavelength at that time. Okay, so it's kind of as though you're shifting friends, but I would say just be aware of it, that some people may move out of your sphere and that you don't feel comfortable around them, and you can't communicate to them, you can't talk to them. That's because you're changing. You're not the person who fits into that crowd anymore. You're developing yourself, you're finding your own path, and that path is changing for you, and you're finding your way through it. And those friends are on their own path, but it's parallel, but it's different. Okay, it does no longer fit you. It's uncomfortable for you. You've moved into one that's much more comfortable for you, and you will find new people, you will find new friends and things like that. So just watch out for that rocky transitions. It is always good to be around like-minded, but sometimes when you're going in that transition from one like-minded to another, it can be quite disconcerting, discombobulating. It can be quite scary, in fact, for some people. So yes, just be aware. With mediumship, if you are wanting to become a medium and things like that, can I just also just say that it is, yes, it's an honour to be to do mediumship. Absolutely, it is an honour. It is. It has its highs, it has its lows. I've learnt so much about social history. It's fabulous. I've learnt so much about family trees as well. Not so much about mine, but other people's family trees. That's great. Who knew that you could do, who do you think you are? No, you just go to a medium. They'll give you the information. You just cut through all of that red tape, but we want the evidence as well. So yes, you can kind of get to know and hear from your ancestors. Isn't that fantastic? Fantastic thought, and I love that thought as well. So I sometimes do end up doing the kind of like the family tree, and people going, yes, but I don't know them. Yes, but you're looking into them. They're trying to give you who they were, that essence of who they were, to be remembered. So it's a privilege, but with that comes responsibility, and with that also comes this awareness that what you may say affects other people. For instance, today has been a perfect example with me just mentioning 2 perfumes which Zena here has been able to recognise as being her mum's perfumes. Now, they were just 2 random perfumes that came into my head. So, in fact, they were the only 2 random perfumes that came into my head. But it's taking on that responsibility. These Facebook lives are always about me imparting information to you, not about doing readings. Okay, so any questions at all? Zena, do you have any questions? Is there anything that you would like to know? Any words that you've come across where you've kind of gone so I'm just having a quick look to have a see if there's okay, I've gone through all my words. There are a couple of other words. There is a word where you kind of get to see faces in things. There is a special word for that. Can't remember it, can't say it either. That's probably why I can't remember it. But there is a word where you can kind of see, if you're looking at a tree, for instance, you can see a shape of a person's face and stuff. That's very common for us to do that. We want to see faces and things as well. Okay, so any other questions? So if we're coming to abilities, there is also one I haven't talked about, which is psychometry. Psychometry I will be talking about later on this month in my next live, which will be 2 weeks time. And that is basically where I've got a couple of rings on. So if I gave my ring to a medium and said, there you go, I've been wearing this, take it, they will hold on to it, picking up the energy from that ring, and then give a reading from that ring. Now that ring, they don't know if I've worn it, they may not know if I've been given it or anything like that. It's literally, here's something. Another way of doing psychometry, and basically that's it, and I'll talk more about it later on in the month, otherwise you'll kind of go, wow, she's talked about it already. So that's psychometry. It is great fun to do, absolutely. Do remember as well, can I just say, development is not always all serious. You can have a laugh through development, and you can learn by playing games as well. All right, so I know that I touched on this last month about doing different types of readings. You can do sound readings, water readings, stick readings, stone readings. You can read almost anything. Okay, coloured cards, waxes. I mean, I do my own set of coloured cards, which are made from encaustic wax. Okay, here's a question. Do you think loved ones show us signs? Okay, I hear noises in my room late at night. Always happens once I'm in bed. Not every night, but often happens. Okay, so the first thing I would say, Zena, is that your central heating coming on, and houses do move as well, especially if you have wooden floorboards. They will contract and expand, as do pipes. Okay, so firstly, you have to get rid of all of the explained noises when it comes to noises. But to go back to your first question is, do you think loved ones show us signs? Yes, I do, but you have to be aware of them as well. No heating on. Okay. But if it's been a hot day and then it turns into a cold day, don't forget the bricks contracting, etc., etc. Houses do make noises, so if these are beyond and above what your normal house makes, okay, then it may be a case of taking a note of them. Where are they coming from, etc. I would always say, with anybody who's having unexplained things happening in the house or noises such as using it, is to always eliminate all of the possibilities of what it could be physically on this plane. And I know that I've been around to people's houses and helped them with clearances, and other mediums help them with clearances, and the questions always arise is, are you taking any medication? Do you drink? Because you're wanting to look for, is this a true thing? Is it somebody having a psychotic break? Is this something that is, it could be it could be tinnitus. Are they ill? Is it the medication that's affecting them? There's a whole reef of questions in that tone of eliminating all of the possibilities to narrow it down to saying, okay, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. No, 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 no. Okay, so you've eliminated all of the possibilities, and therefore we are looking on the spiritual side of things. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, so your mum's ashes are in the next bedroom. Right. Okay. I don't know, it would be a case that you would actually need to contact me if you're wanting to have a reading about it, to be honest. If you're wanting to know about that, really, we can have a chat about that separately from here. So but to go back to your question about showing us signs, yes, they can do, and you can also ask to have signs shown to you as well. So a lot of people say, oh, we always know when an angel is around because a feather lands on us. Fair enough. Okay. But I've come across people who will ask, oh yes, I want a sign that my dad is around me. Okay. What sign would that be then? Oh no, I just take it as being a feather. But I asked that for my mum as well. Then I asked that for my brother and my uncle and everybody. So who was it who was around you? Because you've asked for feathers for all of them. So when you are asking for a sign, please, please, please be specific. Okay. I want to know if my mum is around me, and I would like to see an orange. An actual fruit orange, not the colour orange. I want to see the fruit orange. And how do I don't mind if I see it in a magazine or on a book or something like that, but I would like to see the fruit orange in an unusual setting. Okay, so if I suddenly see an orange in the middle of my garden, that would be quite unusual because I haven't got any oranges. Okay, and that means that my neighbours have lobbed one over, but then it would be in the middle of my garden. So that's an unusual setting. Okay, so that would answer my sign that my mum is around me. So it is very much a case of, if you're going to ask for a sign, please let it be specific, so you know who you're asking if somebody is around you, and that you are, that they are listening to you and you're listening to them. The response is, once you've asked for it, please don't forget about it. Write it down if you're going to forget about it. If you're going to be asking for a number of different things, write it down and have a sign for each thing that you're asking for. Don't lump it all in one. Don't say, oh yes, I want to know when I'm going to win the jackpot, and if how much am I going to win. Hello, that's about 4 questions there. Split them down so that they're able to answer those questions, and there's some that they won't answer as well. Okay, there are some decisions that we have to make in our own lives. They have lived their lives. They can help us with our lives. They can help us with helping us through traumatic situations, or perhaps with work, or trying to understand what's going on around us. They can help us with all of that, but at the end of the day, you have to take the decision. You have to make that conscious choice of what it is that you're going to do. Okay, that's part of your bargain. That's part of your life. You can't hold them responsible because you said, oh, they've gone and said they can. It's your responsibility. You do not have to follow what they say. They can say, you can try this, or you can do that, do this, do that. They can say all of that. Absolutely can they say all of that. But at the end of the day, you don't have to follow that guidance. Okay, if it doesn't feel right for you, you don't have to follow it. Right? It's there, it's like having a chat with your mum or your dad. Okay, they may not always have the right answer that fits right for you. You have to go away and work it out and kind of go, it's similar but it's slightly different, this is what I'm going to do. Fair enough, absolutely fair enough. That's called personal responsibility. Okay, you need to have some personal responsibility if you're going to be asking for signs. Okay, so anything else, any other questions from anyone? Because I know that I've been on here for about an hour, which is about half an hour longer than I wanted it to be, but I'm glad that I've been able to go through all of this for you. If you're wanting any more information, like I said, my website is emilyjbaker.com, and I will be posting it on here as well, so that you'll be able to come back to it. And I'll put that in now. And I think I put it in earlier on as well, as part of the conversation, right at the very beginning, so that you'll be able to see where you can contact me. Please do contact me if you have any further questions. And it's been lovely chatting to you all this evening. So, I wish you all the best. If you're wanting to give me a call or contact me, please do so. You can email me, send a message through Messenger, and things like that, and we can have a chat and sort stuff out. Alright, so it'd be lovely to see you all in a couple of weeks' time. I think I'm going to be talking about psychometry. I haven't got a title yet, so if there is something that you want me to talk about specifically, please let me know, and I will have a look into it. I wish you all a lovely weekend. It's all been very, very lovely evening. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. You take care now. See you soon. Take care. Bye. Bye, Zena. Bye.